Welcome to TV Guia do Ator. On this episode, an exclusive interview with Michael Schwandt and Melissa Garcia, the choreographers that were here in Brazil for the Miss Universe contest that happened last September here in São Paulo. They talked about their careers, gave some tips about auditions and performances for professional dancers and for those who want to pursue that career.
My first contact with dance was just as a child. I enjoyed recreating music videos and recreating what I saw on television in terms of concerts. I didn't have exposure to formal dance classes until I was 18. Basically, that love of recreating things that I saw as a child transpired into me creating short dance pieces for high school talent shows and any sort of competition around town. I was choreographing and getting dancers together, and then one of those dancers that I worked with in high school, his mother owned a dance studio, and his mother came and saw one of the shows, and she said, "I recognize that you have a very raw talent, a very raw ability, but you don't know what you're doing. Like you need help, you need class, you need to understand." And she offered to let me take dance classes at her studio for free. As many classes as I wanted, all levels of classes that I wanted, and that's when I really started to fall in love with it. I went off to university and I continued to dance in university, and I found a group of friends that were very like-minded in the type of dance they enjoyed and the type of music they wanted to dance to. We all wanted to be in music videos, but we lived in Texas. And it was during that time, really, those 4 years at my university, that I think in the back of my mind, I decided that's really what I wanted to do.
Well, I started dancing when I was 6 years old, and at that time, obviously, I was just doing it for fun, but I think that at a really young age, my parents and people that were around my family that were really interlinked in the entertainment industry saw that I really had a love for it and I had a natural knack for it. Then I went to college and I started doing public relations, and then at the age of 24, which is pretty late when you consider the lifespan of a dancer in today's commercial world. So at 24 I started back into professional commercial dancing, and it was really a struggle because a lot of the dancers my age were already doing jobs that I wanted to be a part of, but they had been networking since they were 15 or 16, going to dance conventions, getting to know all the IT choreographers. So it was really difficult. There was definitely times where I wanted to give up, but thankfully I had a lot of great people around me that supported me, and I also knew and I was confident that I had something to bring to the table. Besides dancing, I'm also a singer and an actress and an aerialist as well. So I knew that especially in today's market, you can't just go into anything just being a dancer or just being a singer. You kind of have to be able to do everything, and it's extremely demanding. So I eventually got in there, started networking, and I got to know a lot of different choreographers and directors, and my career basically took off when I booked my first world tour, and that was for Celine Dion, and ever since then it's basically just been really fast, and I'm appreciative of it, and now I am really interested in the production side of things. So besides still being on stage, I really want to get my feet wet and start doing production. So that's kind of the next journey.
My biggest influence in dance most definitely would have had to have been the choreographer Vincent Patterson, just because when I was growing up, he was everywhere in pop culture. He was choreographing for Madonna and Michael Jackson and all of those people that were inspiring me and making me want to dance. So as I started to research Vincent Patterson and learned about his career, the more I looked back, the more I discovered that he was responsible for so many of the pieces that made me want to be a dancer. As a director, as a stage director, I really admire the work of Jamie King. I think he's paved a new way for choreographers to take their craft. Choreographers were never really given, and still aren't always given the respect they deserve as a creative director. As, being a choreographer myself, I know that oftentimes lighting decisions, come down to me, or costume decisions come down to me, or directorial decisions come down to me, because it all relates to the dance, even though I don't get the title. So I think what Jamie King has been able to do is he's taken all of that and given himself that title, and he's taken live concerts into an entirely new direction that I think many of us have only ever dreamed of.
Control your poison, babe. Roses and blooms, they say, and we're all getting host tonight. Oh, oh, oh. What's going on the floor? I love this record, baby, but I can't see straight anymore. Keep it cool.
Creating for an artist or for any job that I do is, each job is completely different. Sometimes you get a directive from the artist themselves, or from their management or their label, or a director that you're working with, or a producer, and sometimes they have no idea what they want and they rely solely on you to come up with a concept. I think either way, I can work well either way. I do like to have a clear idea of where someone likes to go with what they're doing, and I think it's important to look at the way somebody moves innately. I think that's a big problem with dance in pop culture today, is that not all choreographers do their research on an artist that they're working with, and look at the way that person moves, naturally. And I think a big part of being successful in working with a singer is making them feel comfortable, and picking movements that innately they might go to if they were just dancing by themselves on stage. I think finding a vocabulary that sits within their comfort range is important, especially if they don't dance very often. And I also think a major part of, just continuing to be creative and continuing to come up with new ideas is the people you surround yourself with. It's not only having great assistants that understand how you work and that push you to be better, but it's also the dancers. I think it's a collaboration always with the entire team you put together as for coming up with great movement. First of all, auditioning is so different than just taking class. Auditioning is its own art form, and some people that are great dancers are not good auditioners, and some people are just really good bullshitters and auditions and make you think they're great. But as far as being in an audition, you have to learn fast. I think that's the main thing. You have to be able to adapt quickly. You have to really go for it. If you just stand at the back, if you don't fight your way to the front, if you aren't aggressive about it, you're probably not going to be seen. You're not going to do well, because no matter what, choreographers and their team are looking at you even while you're learning the combination. They're looking at you to see how you're grasping it and how well you're taking notes. And the best place to practice that is in class, and also just going to auditions. I tell people that all the time. Even if you can't do the job, even if you're not interested in doing the job, if it's not your genre or if it's not something you want to do, if there's an audition, you should just go to it just for practice. Why not? Just so that you learn how to become better at auditioning.
I think every dancer has a different journey. Some dancers move to Los Angeles or New York, where you can really get into commercial dance and things will just happen really easily for them. There's no rhyme or reason. People don't really know why that happens. A lot of times as dancers, we're finding out that it's not only your talent that's going to get you there. You have to have a specific look. And I think going into things, I didn't really know who I was yet. I was still really, really young, and I just wasn't sure where I fit in the dance industry. So I was trying to be the hip-hop dancer, the technical jazz dancer, the ballerina. I was trying to be all these people, and what I finally learned is that I need to go into an audition and just be me. Because if I go into an audition and try to fake that I'm somebody who I know that I'm not, I'm extremely see-through. The casting director sees right through that, and they're scared to choose me because they're not quite understanding who I am either. So I would really tell that dancer who's going on an audition for something for hip-hop, if they don't believe that that's what they are, then that's going to read in the audition. And so I think that by the time I auditioned for Celine Dion, I had a lot more confidence. I was extremely hungry at the time to get a large profile job like that, but at the same time I didn't feel like I needed it, you know, so I wasn't desperate to say. And I think a lot of young dancers are extremely desperate, and that too doesn't help you in an audition. So a big thing too is knowing what look you are. I mean, as soon as I booked Celine, my hair was long, but before I went on the audition, I chopped it to this hairstyle that you see that I have now, and that also helped me because now I had a specific look that they liked, and that's really helped me on every audition now. And I was also a well-rounded dancer, which again, you have to stay in those dance classes and know how to do every single style, because Celine asked for technical, hip-hop, athletic, and we also had a lot of modern involved in that show. So, you know, it's really hard these days to find dancers that can do all. I have worked in South America before, but in Brazil, for instance, the dancers have a lot of fire, and they're extremely hungry. They all have great attitudes. Their willingness to learn something new and to take from what we have learned in our craft, they really, really listen, and they're like sponges, so they absorb everything. And the positive part of that is that as a choreographer and you know, assisting on this job, it really allows us to be able to do our job the best way that we know how to do when we have dancers that are so open-minded that way. And also we learned from them because they have a specific style, and we had to take from that style and kind of combine it with the style that we like to use and kind of just fuse the LA to the Brazilian style. So we kind of came up with our own, which was something that I think is important in every job. And one thing that I would definitely tell the Brazilian dancers to do is to continue to take classes, watch YouTube videos and watch music videos of what the dance forms are today. It seemed like they lacked a little bit of the edginess that commercial dance is looking for these days. So, and a lot of them tended to only know one style. And so again, in today's market, you have to kind of be extremely well-rounded. And so I would tell them to continue to do their homework, save money, go take classes in Los Angeles, go take classes in New York, so that they can continue to thrive as dancers and bring back to Brazil everything they've learned and be top at their game.
It seemed like they wanted to give everything that we were asking of them, even if they didn't know, you know, how to do it. It seemed like they were so open to just outside influence. And I think that that's super important. I know that you kind of touched upon this already, but it is important in this world, because dance right now, like, dance is really stemming from America, commercial dance. It kind of branches out from America, and then everyone copies, you know, what we're doing, or takes it and adds upon what we're doing. And I think it's important for them to get exposure to what's current and not be closed off to it. At the same time, I think that Brazilian dancers have to learn, you know, especially in an audition setting, to take corrections. That's one of my biggest things from the audition process that we had here, was when we gave someone a note or a correction and it wasn't applied. And it was more the rule than the exception. Fewer dancers applied the corrections that we gave them than did apply the corrections. They continued to dance the way they were dancing. So I think that's something where we're really strict on that, because we work in an environment where changes have to be made quickly, on the spot, changes in the style or in formations or whatever, and we expect dancers to think quickly and act quickly. And I think that's something that they can grow. That's an area where they can grow here in Brazil. And we were changing the opening number for Miss Universe every time we did it. We were changing a formation, or we were changing a step, or where people were going off, or when they weren't going on or going off. And some people applied those changes right away, and some people didn't. It took them a couple of times to realize that, we expected them to do it differently, and right away. So I think for me, that's the biggest thing that Brazilian dancers could improve upon. I'm fortunate enough to teach in a lot of different countries, so I see, where strengths are in different parts of the world, or where things are lacking in certain parts of the world. And I think that would be my biggest note for them.
If you want to know more about their work, they'll come here to Brazil next year for a dance workshop. Visit us at guiadator.com.br, where the opportunity meets the talent. See you soon!